So I don't expect any great foreign policy changes. Nobody. Suharto was in a way more active on the international scene, and Suharto, of course, was forever being pushed to be more active on the international scene, like by American presidents, among others. Yudhoyono, I don't think Jokowi is going to be much more active because I think he's going to mainly focus on domestic things. But to the extent to which he is, it's going to be playing this kind of positive mediating role and so forth.
Last two questions. Ryan, and then you'll be the last.
Thank you. My name is Brian Kraft, the Asia Group. My question is that there's two things that I was most surprised about in your presentation. One was the age, and the other was the education, and their sort of
younger,
tendencies.
more educated voters voting for Prabowo.
Also, the rural-urban was surprising.
Urban,
Because I remember last time you were here, you were saying all of us were predicting just the opposite. We saw his gubernatorial campaign where the youth were rising up, and we expected to see the young, sort of newly educated Indonesians rising for Jokowi, but this seems to indicate just the opposite. So if you could speak on that a bit, I'd be...
Yeah, right. Me too. I mean, I was struggling with that for a long time as we were getting this data, not just this data, but survey data before this that is showing increasingly urban, young, educated people voting for Prabowo. And then we're getting a lot of anecdotal stuff as well in which, Wayne Forrest, for example, at the American Indonesian Chamber of Commerce in New York, said he showed me all kinds of emails that he had been getting from young business people in Indonesia who want Prabowo. And the reasons are that they think Prabowo understands the world better. His English, his experience in the outside world. He has more of a vision about Indonesia's place in the larger world and stuff like that. So I think it was those things and therefore a kind of downplaying of his anti-dissident, his kidnapping of the dissidents past and stuff like that by those people. But to me too, I mean, it's almost... to me personally, if I were an Indonesian voter, I think that Prabowo's past would disqualify him as a candidate. You don't ask questions about what his policies might be and so forth. He's got such a problematic past that I wouldn't want to vote for him for president. That to me, that's, as a sort of ordinary citizen, I look at it that way. But apparently many Indonesian voters, urban, educated, young, didn't see it that way.
Last question. Identify yourselves.
Alistair Bowie from George Washington University. Bill, when Saiful Mujani gave you your marching orders, you had to emphasize he was an ordinary person.
Right.
But he was also a two-term mayor of a mid-sized city.
Right.
And we're coming to 10 years since the adoption of direct elections for regional heads, governors, bupati, and wali kota or mayors. Does this suggest to regional heads, particularly those who've succeeded in being directly elected once or even twice, that the path to national positions of prominence, including the presidency, is much more open now than it was? And are they honing their skills at the regional level through the Pilkada process in a way that makes them more plausible candidates for the future?
Well, I just saw this figure from the Minister of Home Affairs that said that 86% of those people, the district heads and the county heads and the mayors, are under indictment for corruption. And I have to go back and look at that. Surely that can't be right, 86%, but I just saw that figure. So the other side of this coin is the weak legal system, weak judicial system, opportunities for corruption and so forth. You now have roughly 500 executives at that level, the district municipality level, some of whom are doing undoubtedly an exemplary job of leadership. That fellow Gamawan, who was the Minister of Home Affairs, was, he had that background himself. He was a successfully elected Bupati, I think district head of Solok maybe, for 2 terms, and then from that, Yudhoyono appointed him Minister of Home Affairs. So, there are different career aspirations that one can have from that level. And Ridwan Kamil is the other person in Bandung who people are talking about as an exciting mayor. So we'll see how that develops. But so far, I'll just say two things. But so far, Jokowi has been really the only one who has stood out in this extraordinary way. Whatever his personal characteristics are that made it possible for him to appeal to people in this way, he seems unique so far. So I'll say that. But I'm an American too, and we see where national politicians come from. They come from these kinds of backgrounds. Not so much mayors. Mayors seem to stick with their jobs. Bloomberg is suited to be mayor of New York, but not suited to be president of the country. But there may be more mayors in Indonesia who are seen as suited to be president. But with this direct election, now we have executives who have real experience at the local level. We have this debate in the United States. Isn't it better to elect a governor than a senator president because the governor has that direct administrative experience, that sort of thing. Indonesians are now going to be having that debate, and it has to happen that more and more people come into national prominence from that background.
Before we conclude, I want to announce that on August the 12th, we will have a distinguished panel of 3 Indonesianists. Bill Little will return. We will have Don Emerson from Stanford. And we will have Tom Pepinski from Cornell, an up-and-coming distinguished Indonesianist, to update us on the situation as of then. So that'll be on the afternoon, I forget what day of the week it is, but the afternoon of August the 12th. So please mark your calendars. Now let's all show our appreciation to Bill for this very insightful presentation.
Can I comment to you?